This is Texas News Now, sponsored by Germania Insurance.
I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. Officials postponed their vote on a new data center in Fort Worth, and concerned neighbors told Brittany Costello they need to know more.
For months, people who live and work in South Fort Worth near the historic Weston Gardens,
they're a native plant.
They've had questions.
It's more of what is it going to do to our area? What is it going to do to the nature out here?
Wednesday, they may finally get answers.
We really want to make sure the community is really knowledge of what's going on.
Fort Worth City Councilman Chris Nettles says Black Mountain Power is meeting with the community to talk about the more than 450-acre data center it wants to build near Lon Stevenson and Forest Hill Drive.
450 acres and you don't know where anything goes is crazy, in my opinion.
Up to this point, Sue Weston with Weston Gardens says they haven't seen any plans. It's part of the reason Councilman Nettles says he felt obligated to delay a vote Tuesday to rezone 80 more acres for this project. But he says, more importantly, the city is waiting for a presentation from Encore.
It's important for the city of Fort Worth to kind of give the residents a little bit more knowledge of what data centers do and how it could affect or not affect communities such as electric, water, and other environmental issues.
While he knows those answers won't satisfy people like Jaime Perkins, who plan to voice opposition no matter what,
the goal is to push back.
He does hope that it gives his district the answers they are looking for.
This rezoning request is expected back before Fort Worth City Council June 9th. We reached out to Black Mountain but have not heard back. In Tarrant County, I'm Brittany Costello.
It's been 4 months since an SMU professor disappeared, but the search will ramp up again this weekend. Charles Hush was last seen 4 months ago in Georgia while hiking the Appalachian Trail. The law professor's family launched their own independent search, and those teams will head back to the trail this weekend, hoping to, at the very least, recover his remains. They have a small window right now before all the spring foliage starts coming in. A nonprofit in South Dallas is used to helping families in need, but after someone stole their new storage unit, they need some too. Here's Jobin Puneker.
So here is the location where we had our storage unit.
Nellie Cuenca has made it her mission to serve the South Dallas neighborhood. Her nonprofit operates out of this community grocery store.
The little items that we feel that we take for granted on a daily basis, those items are actually treasures for these families.
MAPA helps the unhoused but focuses their efforts on single mothers and sons, providing them the support that is needed. This week, it's the nonprofit that needs help.
It was here on Tuesday night. Before Wednesday morning, it's like it disappeared.
A large storage unit they got 30 days ago was stolen.
All of our wonderful neighbors are looking through their cameras.
Nellie spent a full year working on getting it.
I just know that it's going to be returned.
Stephanie Cole lives in this neighborhood.
I got a bird's eye view from across the street, and I don't miss much. I guess my eagle eye had something in it that day.
They just took it, the whole thing, look.
The unit was empty, but Nellie was excited to fill it with the donated items that help this community.
Please give it back. We're not even angry. We understand that people make mistakes.
She has filed a report with Dallas Police. The unit is worth over $100,000.
That's where we are right now.
For Nellie, its service is priceless, serving a community that is underserved.
We're called to love on our neighbors.
In Dallas, I'm Jobin Puneker.
A sinkhole opened up near White Rock Lake in Dallas, small in diameter, but 20 feet deep. One concerned neighbor tells Brittany Moncrief it's a sign of a much larger issue.
Well, we met Carol Bell Walton 2 years ago.
You could fit 3 SUVs in that one cave.
She was raising awareness about erosion at White Rock Lake Trail after decades of storms washed away land under Garland Road.
And that's the alternative to the sheet piling. Now, they should be immobile. But water's still going to seep through there.
But what she didn't expect,
that wasn't on my radar,
is what a jogger posted to Facebook, a sinkhole between the trail and street.
Oh, this just completely rewrites the script.
Because Carol says the hole was 20 feet deep and caused by an abandoned sewer line.
It still shows that there are critical weaknesses in this area due to infrastructure that was put in long ago that we don't even have a clue about.
We asked the city of Dallas if an abandoned sewer line caused the sinkhole. They did not confirm or deny, but Dallas Water Utilities said in a statement that the area has been stabilized. They said a portion of the trail is temporarily closed as departments investigate the cause of the sinkhole, advising people avoid the area.
If DWU's infrastructure has so compromised this area that we're seeing collapsing shafts, then DWU needs to take responsibility to shore this area up.
And for advocates like Carol, this just leaves more questions than answers.
What's under here that we don't know about? What is likely to fail?
In Lakewood, I'm Brittany Moncrief.
It's a tough time for local restaurants right now, given the cost of fuel and overall inflation. As Luke Larry reports, some owners are getting creative to keep the cash and customers coming in.
The recipe for longevity begins with fresh ingredients.
It's tofu and basil.
That's how her mom did it, and it's how Irene Wangching Chai does it today.
I know how to cook. But...
Tai Soon in Richardson. The place has been serving North Texas for nearly 40 years.
The food is good. The food is fresh and wonderful. Plenty of food, taking some home.
Everything's getting harder, so it's like...
But in recent weeks, Irene started opening up to customers.
Overhead, everything's going to be
Those
more
fresh ingredients are getting pricier.
Yes.
Would make sense for you.
She's behind on rent.
It's hard to let go of something that you've been working
And last month, she almost walked away.
Taking some equipment, making plans to do a takeout kind of operation, you know, on my own, rent a kitchen.
Hello. She wouldn't be alone.
We're going to move into a ghost kitchen.
Last month, New York Sub closed its brick and mortar location near SMU under similar pressures to focus on deliveries.
Mom and pops probably face some of the biggest challenges because they don't have some of the scale and the benefits that come with scale as some of the larger brands.
The Texas Restaurant Association says half of the restaurants statewide reported they were not profitable in 2025.
But I think we've all had that experience where we're like, oh my gosh, I'm so upset that business is no longer there. And then when you ask yourself, when's the last time I went? It's sort of, you know, you draw a blank. And so I think really what that speaks to is, as consumers, let's be intentional in our choices.
That's why some of these customers are here.
There's just a lot of flavor in having mom and pop small businesses in the area, and I'm grateful for that.
To voice their love for us, you know. I appreciate that.
Irene says it's been just enough to keep her mother's restaurant cooking. In Richardson, I'm Luke Clary.
Yeah, local shops like that are what make our neighborhood so special. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. Residents in Leakey are dealing with the aftermath of strong storms that hit the area on Tuesday night. Homeowners are beginning the process of assessing the damage and clearing debris. Vanessa Croy has the latest.
We're about half a mile from the center of Leakey. Neighbors saying this was the hardest hit area, describing it as completely insane. And you can see the aftermath of that damage, that baseball-sized hail completely knocking out this double pane window. The owner of this mobile home and owns this property told us that no one was inside at the time. He also owns a Clearwater Ranch and Resort down the road, another hard-hit area. Here's what else he had to tell us.
We sat on the porch and watched the hailstorm. It was pea-sized hail to start with, marble size, and then, I don't know, the last 10 minutes of it was just, I don't know, baseball size, hardball, tennis ball size hail, and it just devastated.
The sheriff of Real County tells us that state officials are here helping neighbors as they begin this massive cleanup effort. You can see everything from glass to hail still on the ground. In fact, let me show you how intense these storms were. This Yeti cup here, completely dented in the side. The sheriff also tells us that they hope they will get some funding out here to check the app for Real County Sheriff's Office to get more information as neighbors work on this massive recovery effort. Reporting from Leakey, Vanessa Croy, KENS 5.
Two heated arguments led to two men being killed just hours apart. Earl Stoudemire has the latest on the investigations.
San Antonio police have multiple evidence markers on the ground here at the New Horizon Apartments as they investigate a shooting taking the life of a young man. Police were first called to the complex on Tuesday at 9 p.m. by a woman saying someone shot multiple bullets into her home. When officers showed up, the shooter was nowhere to be found. Several hours later, police were called again for a shooting at the complex just before 7 this morning. When officers arrived this time, they say they found bullet holes on the outside of the apartment. Inside the apartment, police say they found a 19-year-old man dead on the living room floor. Medical examiners are working to determine when the man died. Police say no one has been arrested, but this isn't the first deadly shooting in San Antonio this morning. On the west side, police say a 19-year-old man was found dead outside the Vaquero Place apartments off of Highway 90. Police showed up to the complex just before 2 a.m. for reports of a shooting. After speaking with 2 women at the scene, police say the 19-year-old was waiting to sell an item in an apartment on the 2nd floor. It was then when police say 3 men walked inside the unit, demanding the item without pay. Police say the 3 men then beat the 19-year-old, shooting him multiple times before taking off. If you know anything about these shootings, please call SAPD. On the east side, Earl Stedemeyer, KENS 5.
Police say a 14-year-old boy stole a car and slammed into 2 patrol units while trying to get away from officers during a high-speed chase. Simone Simpson has the story.
Police say the situation went down at De Zavala and I-10. They say they did not want that teen to get away. They used a helicopter and found him weaving in and out of neighborhoods. Police say when he made it to the cul-de-sac at Laurel Hills and Blue he clipped 2 cop cars, which they say have minor damage. Once the 14-year-old teen crashed the stolen Hyundai into a tree, officers say he bailed out of the car and ran behind a church. That's where cops detained him. We're told 1 cop had minor injuries. We're also told 2 females were in the car sometime during that pursuit. They bailed. Reporting from the Northwest Side, I'm Simone Simpson, KENS 5.
San Antonio's Good Neighbor program tracks your calls to 311-911 and the police's non-emergency line. It's a data-driven initiative to address problems in the city. Right now, city staff are going around San Antonio asking, what's the top issue where you live? Henry Ramos has a story.
Red and blue dots on a board representing concerns in this community. Issues like homeless encampments and yards filled with trash are top concerns from the people who live in the South Side, like Sisters Rosa and Marie Levy.
There's always little things that can be improved. Lighting, there's not enough lights.
They are proud Southsiders who care about where they live.
And we're trying to represent the neighborhood and keep it nice the way it used to be.
The sisters and other residents at this neighborhood meeting are voting on their top issues. Staff with the city's Integrated Community Safety Office, they're collecting the results through the Good Neighbor program.
We specifically wanted to get the data on the priorities for public safety concerns and issues in this particular neighborhood.
City staff are going around to different areas to get the in-person feedback. They're also comparing that data to the calls coming in through 311, 911, even San Antonio Police's non-emergency number.
So that we can take that data back to our team of data scientists and data analysts to help us prioritize the properties in the Good Neighbor program, which seeks to address chronic nuisance single-family homes around the city.
President of the Harlandale-McCullum Neighborhood Association says collecting this data is important.
Knowledge is power, right? The more information we have, the more data we have, the more proof we have, then we can talk to council about budget and what needs to be provided in our district.
Regardless of the issue, the city encourages you to call.
If you don't send it in, we literally can't see it. We don't hear about it unless you use your voice.
I tell all my neighbors all the time, if you see something, say something.
Henry Ramos, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.
A cool day is expected today across much of the Lone Star State, but I do have warmer temperatures coming into my forecast as we head in towards the weekend. I'm meteorologist Andy Mead. High pressure is slowly going to make a comeback across the Lone Star State, and we're going to see more in the way of even some 80s and 90s as we head in towards your weekend. But today, it really is going to be a beautiful day across much of the Lone Star State, but we do have some breezy conditions, especially up into portions of the Panhandle. So I'm talking areas like along into near Amarillo and Lubbock today, where there is a little bit of some fire weather concerns, but most of the Lone Star State, those winds are going to stay a bit more on the calmer side today. It's going to be rather warm and sunny. We're going to pick that up even more heading into tomorrow, as most of us are going to be about 5 to 15 degrees warmer overall, and we're going to be more in the way of even some 70s and 80s, especially down further south, possibly more in the way of some 90s. And I think we'll see more of that across much of the Lone Star State, especially further south as we head over and towards the weekend. We do have some critical fire weather concerns across portions of the Panhandle. This will likely be even a similar case as we head into Friday, with some wind gusts nearly upwards around 30 miles per hour at times, especially along into portions of Lubbock, pushing along into near areas of southeast New Mexico, with winds coming in from the west-southwest. Heading in through the morning, we're going to see those temperatures, though, still be rather cool off the start, especially towards Amarillo, around 32 degrees, with around 39 into Midland, 42 over into Colina, mostly along into near the I-35 corridor. We'll stick more of those middle to near upper 40s, warming it up back into some low to middle 70s, even some 60s along into near I-35, and some 70s down along into the coastline. So it is certainly going to be closer to normal, especially our normal temperatures for where we should be for this time of year. And most of us are going to be working with some light winds with a bit of a breeze more along into portions of the Panhandle. So for West Texas, more particularly north of the I-20 corridor, we're continuing with a bit of a light breeze as we go into the majority of the day. Those gusts upwards of 30 miles an hour. But look at the sunshine across the board. High pressure is really going to take a grip across much of West Texas down into Central Texas. We'll go from around 70s heading into around Thursday, bouncing it up to 80s as we head into Friday for West Texas. We'll go from the middle to near upper 60s for today, working it up back into some 80s, even more in the way of some middle 80s across portions of Central Texas as well. Even into South Texas will be about 5 to 10 degrees warmer as we head into Friday, especially as we work more into Saturday. Temperatures in comparison from Thursday to Saturday would nearly be up well over 10 degrees, especially along into portions of North Texas, where we'll be able to work with more in the way of some upper 70s, even some lower 80s as we head into around Saturday. Along into East Texas, we'll be able to see a little bit more in the way of also those 80s sneaking along into near the Houston metro, around 83 as we head into Saturday. But plenty of sunshine to go around, especially along into portions of the valley, and that's where we'll see more in the way of those middle, possibly even upper 90s could be possible with a good amount of sunshine to go around. And this is going to be because, again, high pressure is really going to take a grip. So that storm system that brought those showers and thunderstorms, that's going to move up more into the north and east out of our region. We're going to get into this dry northwesterly flow aloft, and that means a lot of drier air is going to be ushering in. So cloud cover is going to be rather limited across the Lone Star State as we work in throughout the next several days. High pressure slowly going to move more so often towards the west, and we'll see a small shift in the pattern as we head into around early next week. We'll be able to get a cold front that will come in between around Sunday to Monday, maybe a few isolated showers along portions of East Texas, mostly along into near the Arklatex into Louisiana. I think most of us will rather stay dry within this cold front. This will be around Sunday into Monday, and we're going to get back into another relatively dry flow aloft. So we'll have be cooler conditions onto Monday, but really Tuesday onward, at least in the meantime, it looks like we'll be able to warm back up as we head into next week, as high pressure is going to be able to set up over off into the west under, again, that northerly flow aloft. That's a lot of drier air that we're going to get, and with that, a lot of warm temperatures are going to be expected, especially over often towards the west into near the Central Plains here back at home across the Lone Star State of Texas, where the bulk of that colder air with that next cold front for next week is more so going to be often towards the north and east of the Lone Star State, where most of us, especially for West Texas into West Central Texas, above normal temperatures are going to be expected with near normal conditions along into the DFW metro pointing east, and we'll be able to see more of those below normal temperatures often towards the east. And with that dry flow aloft, that means rain chances, at least in the next 6 to 10 days. I just don't have that into my forecast. Is below normal precipitation is going to become the norm, at least for the next several days, possibly even a couple weeks, as we'll be able to still have a lot of plenty of sunshine to go around. So definitely a good decent break from the rain, but of course some of our coastal across the Lone Star State are going to need it. We'll be able to work with 80s, even some 90s heading into the weekend, with that cold front arriving as we head into around late Sunday into Monday, bringing in breezy and cooler conditions, rebounding back into the 70s on Tuesday.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
Hello there, Mia Grady here with a look at what's making headlines in Houston. Starting with people in the Cypress area reacting to the arrest one of their neighbors for allegedly planning to detonate bombs earlier this week along Highway 290. And according to investigators, he had the means to do it. Here's Maria Aguilera with more.
A quiet Cypress neighborhood surrounded by deputies overnight after investigators say there were threats to carry out a mass shooting and use explosives to blow up Highway 290.
I just saw a bunch of cops, like 50 cops surrounding my whole neighborhood.
Victoria Martinez says the heavy police presence worried her. She quickly alerted her mom.
My daughter told me last night something is going on.
Investigators say this all started when 20-year-old Jeremiah Chavez called 911 threatening violence and claiming he had weapons and explosive devices.
He had a gun inside that he planned on shooting people with, and he also had explosive devices that were already actually wired up to batteries. And so deputies took precaution, ended up evacuating the house. We ended up calling the sheriff's office bomb squad.
Deputies rushed to his home in the Cypress neighborhood. Constable Mark Herman says Chavez was not inside when they arrived, but walked up moments later and was arrested. Inside the home, investigators say they found a rifle, ammunition, and components used to make explosives.
It's just scary, you know, and to think that I went to school with him.
Neighbors say learning what happened is unsettling. Martinez remembers seeing him around when they were in school, hearing he may have been violent in a relationship.
Really uncomfortable because, I mean, like, his house is right there. Imagine if he did that, like, those houses, would have been a huge fire. Would have been mass casualties.
For Martinez and her mom, who've lived here her whole life, she says she's relieved no one was hurt.
I'm glad it was resolved. I mean, like, I live here with my sister, my mom, my grandma, you know, like, that's scary to put them in, like, that position. And everyone around, there's, like, little kids here. That's really scary.
Maria, thank you. Now to a woman who's been without water service due to a blocked and possibly broken sewer main line. The elderly woman who resides in Spring Branch didn't notice a problem until her son visited last week. Troy Kless shows us what's being done to help.
A man is trying to help his elderly mother get water and sewer service back to their home, but they face several blocks along the way. The effects of the blockage can be seen on their sprinkler system in the front yard. Instead of a sprinkle, water pours out of a broken irrigation system.
She's been in this house for over 40 years and never had a problem.
Steve Slade, helping his elderly mother, began digging for answers last week. He called a plumber who scoped a camera through the main line.
The stoppage is right here in this general area,
leading to a literal dead end.
I showed the city inspector right there that it's solid mud in their 6-inch pipe in this easement that goes to their main. Right there at the end of the shovel handle is pure mud.
A 311 ticket was submitted, then closed shortly after the city came out.
I was very disgruntled at the time with the city because I went, isn't it common sense to dig up your pipe that's full of dirt? And he just looked at it, he goes, no.
After contacting Houston Public Works for a statement, a truck came out to start fixing the problem. After further digging, Slade believes a large utility truck drove through the backyard and broke the lines. CenterPoint Energy, who may have installed these power lines in the backyard, is responding, saying, in part, we are in contact with this customer and are working with them to investigate how the damages occurred. The situation potentially leading to a costly clean out.
The one quote was close to $8,000. He did, after I said that is crazy, I said he came back with another quote of $4,000. I still thought that was insane.
Another 311 ticket was created Wednesday, saying an inspection has been created to address the issue. If you have a similar problem, you should call 311 or you can submit a claim on CenterPoint Energy's website. In Spring Branch, Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
Hoping they get a resolution soon. Now to the business of barbecue. It's getting tougher. Rising costs, thinner margins, and now more closures. Marcelina Benito has more on the shakeup in the signature industry and what it means for pitmasters.
Guys, pitmasters are feeling it, and so are customers. Texas Ag Commissioner Sid Miller told me the record cost of beef threatening Texas barbecue.
Consumers are going to start backing off the amount of beef they eat at these prices.
Miller says Texas barbecue needs saving. Tonight, we're taking a closer look. Surviving in the world of barbecue.
.29, thank you.
Not for the faint of heart.
Buckle your chin strap. You know, it's a tough business.
Pitmaster Grant Pinkerton has been smoking meats since he turned 12.
I've had a passion for meat my entire life.
That passion turned into his first brick-and-mortar barbecue restaurant in 2016. Has the world of barbecue changed in all those years?
It's drastically different now. It's exploded, man. You know, craft barbecues everywhere. And now you can almost throw a rock and hit a pretty decent barbecue joint.
Competition can be crushing.
If you put two barbecue joints next to each other, they'll probably get better, but one of them's probably going to close too.
Pinkerton's has only gotten better. Just this year, opening his third restaurant at a time when Texas is seeing more than a dozen barbecue joints shut their doors. Why do you think we're seeing so many barbecue spots close as of late?
It's a restaurant business. You know, it's not an easy business. Things can get away from you extremely quickly in this business, especially in barbecue. It's a razor thin game.
It's a lot trickier to manage with record high beef prices. The smallest U.S. cattle herd in 75 years, driving up prices 13% just in the last year.
We're a market-driven menu, and so when beef goes up, the price goes up.
And customers,
Oh, hell yeah.
like Lewis Marshall, feel it.
Man, I can get a beef rib for $18. Now you're going to pay $30.
At Pinkerton's, the crowd's still lining up and willing to pay for premium beef brisket.
They love the beef.
But even the world's top pitmasters wonder when consumers may have to make different choices. Would you say barbecue is sacred in Texas?
Oh yeah, it's a part of who we are. It's important that it's preserved and that we make sure we prioritize it.
It may be a Texas tradition, but staying in business
Plates are to your left over here.
has never
There we go. And tap pay here.
been tougher.
Okay, thank you.
Marcelino Benito, KHOU 11 News.
There is nothing like the taste of Texas brisket. Well, the future is apparently almost here when it comes to air taxis. It's being called the next generation aircraft, connecting major cities in Texas with air taxi networks. Here's Ron Trevino with more.
Ubers in the air.
The U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy talking about the brand new Advanced Air Mobility and Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing Integration Pilot Program. They call them eVTOLs.
I'm excited for what the future holds. Let's win the future.
He says the futuristic aircraft can have the potential to connect communities and strengthen American leadership in aviation. The Texas Department of Transportation will collaborate with industry partners to support flights connecting Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, and eventually Houston. Here's the FAA Deputy Administrator Chris Rocheleau.
Tell me how Houston fits into all of this. How soon could we be seeing these in Houston?
Well, that's a great question because I do think we will be seeing the aircraft themselves flying in these pilot programs here this year.
They look part drone, part jet, and they're designed to shorten trips between cities from hours to minutes, easing highway congestion and opening up new options for everyone. They also say it's going to mean thousands of more jobs nationwide. The FAA has given the green light to test these in a number of states, including Texas.
We were truly testing the opportunity to learn from this experience and making sure that as we build a national level framework, that we're learning from the lessons that we're going to see here in Texas.
The Transportation Department says it could radically change the way people and products move.
We'll keep our eyes on the skies. Ron Trevino, thank you. With that, that's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Mia Gradney.
I'm Leslie Adamy in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening here in South Texas. Tensions are boiling over between the state and the city of Corpus Christi. Governor Greg Abbott is blasting city leaders over the water crisis, accusing them of wasting hundreds of millions of dollars and warning the state may have to step in. But Corpus Christi leaders are firing back. Our Michael Gibson has more on this growing controversy.
We provided them with
$750 million, $750 million in funding for them to address their water problem. You know what they did? They squandered it.
No, Governor Abbott, you did not give us 750 or 200 million. We are having to pay that back.
We can only give them a little time more before the state of Texas has to take over and micromanage that city and run that city to make sure that every resident who goes to the water tap and turns it on, they're going to be getting water out of their faucet.
Shame on him that a governor would come in and say you're going to take over a city because of inaction when we actually have had action.
City Councilwoman Carolyn Vaughn also took aim at Mayor Paulette Guajardo.
Mayor Paulette Guajardo, the city manager, and the previous council are the reason we are where we are right now.
Some have suggested that our water challenges are the result of a lack of leadership, and I have to respectfully disagree. Leadership means rolling up your sleeves. It means working with our state and federal partners and advancing real projects that bring water to our community.
State Representative Denise Villalobos and Councilman Gil Hernandez also spoke with us concerning what the governor had to say about threatening to take over the city.
From a legal standpoint, I don't know how much the state is able to get involved until an emergency is called, so that's something my office is looking into.
Councilman Hernandez wanted to remind everyone that the city does have a number of projects it's working on, including the Western well fields, which are not yet permitted by the state.
It still has a higher TDS than what we'd like, but you know, it's just enough to hold us over until we can develop some of these other projects. The Evangeline groundwater project, which is within the groundwater conservation district's requirements. The wastewater reuse project for industry, for Valero and for Flint Hills.
Councilman Roland Barrera says he feels the city still has a chance to get things right.
I would think that we still have the opportunity to solve the problems, but you're going to have serious folks that are interested in solving problems instead of just trying to placate to an audience.
And now 3 Corpus Christi council members are calling for Mayor Paulette Guajardo to be removed from office. However, that action request dates back to August of 2025. It comes from council members Eric Cantu, Gil Hernandez, and Carolyn Vaughn. We asked why they're pushing this issue now.
I think the reason why it took a little long is because we wanted to see on that lawsuit with the hotelers downtown, I think we wanted to see if there's any criminal actions. I supported the mayor at one time, you know, when she ran at large and when she first ran for mayor, I supported her. But, you know, now I don't support her because she's not leading this council how she's supposed to.
Councilman Cantu adds that he feels the city council owes the public the right to consider the petition. So a story that we are closely monitoring here in Corpus Christi. And that is a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.
I'm Bailey Bates. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. Texas families have until March 17th to apply for the state school voucher program. Now new data shows 170,000 applications are already in. Our Juliana Jackson shows us the numbers across Central Texas.
Let's look at the numbers in Central Texas for the school voucher program. Killeen ISD has 1,394 applications. Belton, 649. Waco, 615. Midway, 472, and Temple, 288. Statewide, there were over 160,000 applicants. State Representative Hillary Hicklin calls this program 30 years in the making.
Families are very close to accessing the funds that will give them opportunities for the best education for their kids is pretty exciting.
Hicklin says the program has always been about giving families options.
Over 71% of the families who have applied are those of low socioeconomic means, and that is exactly what this was all about. It was helping families access options for their kids that wouldn't have opportunities without it.
But a Texas nonprofit, Our Schools, Our Democracy, is interpreting the same data differently.
65% as of current data, the most current data, are above 200% poverty level. And a third are actually above 500% poverty level.
The group also found that 76% of applicants were not enrolled in public schools to start. Most are already in private school, homeschooled, or just starting school for the first time. Students with disabilities make up just 11% of applicants.
Private schools are statutorily allowed to discriminate against any student for any reason. including students with special needs, even if they're taking a $30,000 voucher.
Hickland encourages any family still considering it to apply before the door closes.
A real victory for parents and families who need access to options.
If demand exceeds available funds, students with special needs and low-income families will be prioritized. Voucher funds are expected to be available in July. Meantime, as gas prices continue to climb, many Central Texas families may have a harder time affording everyday necessities. Our Adrienne Carbajal shows us a new resource in Waco for families in need of support.
Just a small little token, of course, that they can have less of that load on them to have to worry about and free up that mental space to be able to focus on what they're supposed to be doing.
With gas prices increasing, every penny adds up, putting an additional strain on families who are already struggling to keep up. That's where Family of Faith Worship Center in Waco is stepping up to help. At a community hygiene closet and food pantry, volunteers are working to provide essential items like soap, toothpaste, diapers, and non-perishable food to people who need it most. Organizers say they've seen an increase in families asking for help as transportation costs and grocery bills continue to climb.
Families got a lot of expenses anyway, so if we can support them in a little way, cut some of those expenses down to get some things that they are going to purchase anyway and free up some of those funds so that they can use that for something more interesting, more fun, or more necessary than, some shampoo or some cleaning items for the house.
Miguel Lujan Gonzalez says providing hygiene items does more than meet basic needs. It can also improve people's mental well-being.
I can't imagine having to go to school and not feel like you are clean, you have warm clothes on your back, and feel good about the area that you are in, the space that you live in. That helps not just with the bills, but it also helps with your mental health, your mental state of being. And so hopefully it makes, they may be able to have a little bit of a brighter smile on their face.
Organizers say community support and donations help keep the shelf stocked and allow them to continue serving families across the Waco area.
The pantry says donations of hygiene products and non-perishable food are always welcome. Those are your headlines from Central Texas.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
In Austin, I'm Mark Mullins. Right now, fire investigators are working to figure out what started a fire that killed 3 children in southeast Austin Wednesday morning. The fire left several others hurt. Reporter Daniel Gomez has more from Burleson Road at the apartment complex where that fire happened.
Carly Robinson is processing what happened just a few doors down.
I saw flames and a lot of smoke.
Flames that broke out just after midnight. Robinson was already up.
I was working on a portfolio for school, doing some homework and just getting ready for my day of classes that I was going to go to today.
But instead, she's haunted by the news.
People have died and now I'm supposed to go back to my apartment as if that hasn't happened.
The fire killed 3 kids and sent 4 others to the hospital, 2 of them critically hurt.
So it is really heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was very, very bad, yeah.
Javi also lives a few doors down from the fire.
I don't really know what to say to that other than that's very sad, and my thoughts are with their families and their loved ones.
Another neighbor processing the tragedy.
That was Daniel Gomez reporting. A plane made an emergency landing on Highway 290 in southwest Austin Wednesday. Ryan Dorer was driving home from work when he says he saw a plane above him. It then landed safely on the roadway near Circle Drive. The Travis County Sheriff's Office tells us no one was hurt. The incident caused major traffic delays while crews worked to move the plane off the highway. Carmen Mejia is free and at home with her family for the first time in more than 2 decades. She was released from custody early Wednesday morning. The Austin mother was wrongfully convicted of murder in 2005, found innocent by the state's highest appeals court in January, and then on Monday, a Travis County judge dismissed Mejia's charges and ordered her released. But an immigration detainer kept her behind bars and gave federal agents 48 hours to transfer her to ICE custody or release her. Water is finally flowing into Lake Pflugerville again. A pipe recently broke, so there was no water flowing into the lake. But now, city officials say a temporary water line is working. It's a big deal because Lake Pflugerville supplies the city's drinking water. And while this temporary fix is good news, it is not the end of water troubles for the city of Pflugerville. They want to restore lake levels, which could take at least 60 days. In the meantime, Pflugerville water customers cannot water their lawns, fill swimming pools, or wash their cars at home. The city is asking customers to conserve water to speed up the lake's recovery. Austin is getting ready for spring festival season. With the convention center under construction, the South by Southwest Festival and Conference is spread out across multiple venues. City workers are preparing for large, spread out crowds. Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis says Austin Police will have a command center. If dispatch gets a 911 call about something suspicious downtown, a dispatcher will connect the call directly to the command center so officers can respond quickly.
Again, gives them an outlet, gives them a resource to get what they're saying in real time. We're going to have officers out walking downtown. You're going to see a presence there, and to get that information to them as quickly as possible.
Austin Travis County EMS plans to have a broader footprint downtown because the festival is spread out and because the entertainment district as a whole is larger. That's all from Austin. I'm Mark Mullins. Have a great day.
Hello, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. The East Texas community is looking for help in finding equipment specialized for helping veterans suffering from PTSD. That device was stolen over the weekend in Jacksonville, and its owner tells CBS 19's Robert De La Garza it's preventing him from helping the people who need it most.
For most, it looks like a small piece of equipment, but for veterans battling PTSD and traumatic brain injuries, it's huge.
I know we've helped hundreds of vets with it.
Marine Corps veteran David Thomason uses it as a form of brain therapy to help treat vets and reclaim their lives.
And so we're helping the brain to be able to heal. We're assisting it and going back to where it belongs, to fire the way it needs to be firing, to work the way it needs to be working so that people can function.
But while in Jacksonville, he says the device was stolen from his car.
They are denying people that need help the help that they need. They're denying them the ability to be able to work, to be able to function in life.
He says the device is worth about $25,000, but without specialized software and training, is essentially worthless.
They're not going to be able to go and sell it to just anybody because nobody knows what it is unless they're trained to do what we do.
But priceless to those who need it most.
Well, I started becoming less anxious, started becoming less abrasive, and so I definitely became, someone that, my friends and family, actually enjoyed being around.
He operates clinics across East Texas, including right here at Camp V, a resource center that serves hundreds of vets a month, like retired Air Force veteran and executive director Travis Gladhill.
So he didn't just take this, this item from a single person. He took this item and this treatment from hundreds of military veterans.
Now, with only a handful of these devices in the area, they're hoping the person responsible comes forward.
Right now, if somebody will let us know and get it back to us, no questions asked, I won't press charges. It goes through the channels and law enforcement finds it, then it's felony theft.
For now, a device used to help hundreds of vets sitting somewhere unused. For CBS 19, I'm Robert De La Garza.
Thomason says if someone does return the device, he won't press charges and is offering a small reward. If you have any information, you're asked to contact the Jacksonville Police Department. A Smith County manhunt continues. Authorities say a man remains on the run after a woman was shot in the leg Monday night. The sheriff's office says the man you see right here on your screen, 31-year-old Christopher Hatfield, is wanted and has a warrant out for his arrest for felon in possession of a firearm. Deputies say he is considered armed and dangerous. They also believe Hatfield is no longer in the Lindale area where that shooting took place. The Upshur County Sheriff's Office is now involved after investigators say he made a terroristic threat.
We had received information as well that he had made a threatening phone call to potentially his mother-in-law and made some pretty horrific threats to her.
According to the sheriff's office, investigators uncovered evidence that suggests it may have been a mutual combat situation. And we've also since learned the woman who was shot also fired shots at Hatfield. She is in stable condition after undergoing surgery. Authorities are urging anyone with information about his whereabouts to come forward. Commuting through the city of Tyler could get a little smoother in the future as the city works to update how some traffic lights are timed. The Tyler City Council approved a $167,000 contract to retime traffic signals across the city. Officials say as Tyler continues to grow, traffic patterns change and signal timing needs to be updated every few years to help keep cars moving.
The plan is to retime 26 signalized intersections. Some of those we've retimed in previous years, and it's been several years, and so as travel patterns change, traffic volumes increase and decrease in different areas, and so it's an opportunity to revisit those.
Engineers will collect traffic data this spring and implement the new signal timings come the fall. And that's a wrap over East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
Here are your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. Beaumont police asking parents to step in after a weekend shooting involving teenagers. Investigators say that they need the community's help now as they try to find out who fired the guns. Police say that the shooting had happened Sunday night near the Cinemark Theater and Waffle House off of I-10. Investigators say two groups of juveniles, they were asked to leave the movie theater and then they got into a disturbance out in the parking lot. Detectives believe that people from both groups started firing guns, leaving one person injured. Police say that they are having trouble solving this case because people at the scene are not cooperating.
You're asking parents that had kids that might have been out there on the scene to come forward, or if they have cell phone footage.
Police say that they have seen a recent increase in incidents involving large groups of unsupervised teens, and they are urging parents to know where their kids are at night. And an arrest has been made in the murder of Christiane Marks. That's the 31-year-old mother who was killed earlier this month at the Pine Club Apartments in Beaumont. Timothy Bassard of Port Arthur was previously interviewed about that murder, then arrested later on an unrelated aggravated assault charge. Detectives obtained a murder warrant for Bassard Tuesday. BPD, the officer Roderick Williams, says that police quickly determined the incident was a targeted attack.
When officers arrived, they located Christiane Marks deceased inside of the apartment. So at that point, officers began their investigation and was able to determine that it was a targeted attack on that apartment, and it involved occupants of that same apartment.
Now, according to a probable cause affidavit, Bassard gave a full confession with specific details that would only be known by someone involved in the crime. And this week, Orange City Council, they gave final approval to a $2 million taxpayer-funded incentive for Cadence Development to build a new shopping center. That development, it would cover about 43 acres along I-10 near Martin Luther King Drive. The city also approved a 10-year, 33% sales tax rebate for funds created by those stores. Stores like Academy Sports and Burlington Coat Factory are already planned for that center. Mayor Larry Spears Jr. saying that the city's excited to work alongside this company on the project. Cleanup efforts, they continue after an oil spill Monday morning on a pipeline in Port Neches. Total Energies says that it was quickly stopped and environmental crews are working around the clock to clean up. The company says air monitoring shows no threat to the community. The cause still under investigation. And a recount is underway in Newton County following the March primary. Election officials say that a programming error was discovered in a ballot tabulation machine used during the election. Election officials say that the issue was caused by a ballot mistake from the voting machine vendor. 12 News reporter Spencer Plato spoke to officials who said the issue affected Democratic primary totals.
We just want to make sure everybody's vote is counted.
In Newton County, election night doesn't end when the polls close. Dozens of people bring lawn chairs and wait. But this year, those votes are being counted again.
The voting machine vendor and the software maker had noticed a problem with the vote tally or a problem in the software. They self-reported to the Secretary of State, and then they asked Newton County for a recount.
Days after election night, the Newton County clerk filed court documents stating the machine vendor reviewed the programming. A problem that skewed results in the Democratic primary ballots was discovered. That's when a district judge signed a court order Monday authorizing that recount.
They were supposed to gather up Secretary of State representative and a software or ES&S company rep was supposed to start yesterday at 11 o'clock. Well, I guess there was problems with the machine. I'm not sure on what happened, but the count did not happen yesterday.
We spoke with Election Systems and Software who supplies the machines. They say in a statement, the issue in Newton County was caused by ES&S accidentally providing a ballot that contained an error. There is no software issue with the machine. Officials say the recount will not impact local races, only statewide Democratic primary totals.
If you made the time to get out and vote, we want to make sure your vote's counted, and it's counted right.
And that was Spencer Plato reporting. Election Systems and Software, they're telling 12 News that ballots are already being read accurately. And those were the headlines from Southeast Texas.
Texas News Now is sponsored by Germania Insurance.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.